Welcome to another edition of our live TV in studio, BPTV Studios, with our Pittsburgh Sportsline show. Thank you for watching on Comcast 7, only in Bethel Park. You can watch us on Verizon 32 in Bethel Park, and then all the way from Nemacolin to Cranberry, Wexford, everywhere in between, even if you live in Mount Lebanon. I was just at Olive Oil's Pizzeria. I just had one of the best pizzas and hoagie. I'm glad I come here a little early. They had it ready for me. Jay, Zach, and Mike, their delivery guy, was there. Their lady, Dee, was on her way back from deliveries. Call them, 412-831-1900. Say you heard about us on Pittsburgh Sportsline. Chief, don't order. Keep eating your food right now and save a good spot of dessert for us. We'll be over at 8 o'clock.
Nice.
Well, I'm Al Levine, the talking machine. We got Chip the Prophet Hayner, Smoking Jim Frazier, and believe it or not, we got a solid desk. We can lean on it, Smoking Jim.
I don't have to hold the top on anymore.
Thanks, Dave Cable, and thank you, Bethel Park. We appreciate this. I'm just working on how I'll have to move over so we can get a fourth person on here.
Well, you know, you need a swivel chair now.
Whoa.
We're going to need an upgrade.
You know what? I'll just practice here. I'll move here, and then I'll have three guests here, and I'll just look around. But this is just awesome. It's nice to be able to put elbows on it. We're like ESPN Studio.
I'm telling
The
you.
lighting is fantastic. The desk looks professional. Look at the background here. We got Jeff on camera. He's making us look 10 times better than we normally look.
I'll tell you what.
Glad you're here, Jeff. And then we got Devin Shea in the control room. And, you know, he's beyond even anything I can describe with what he's doing there. So he's that good. He's the best. All right, we're going to talk some sports. We open up our show with the first segment. It's called What's on Your Mind? And I'm going to ask Smoking Jim, what's on your mind, Smoking Jim Frazier?
Thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. And if you want the green,
It's coming. A high one.
you got to see Levine. Hey,
Thank you.
I want to give a shout out to Rite Aid up the street. I was in Rite Aid of Bethel Park, and a gentleman that works there named Don says, "Hey, I watch you on TV. You guys got a great show. That Pittsburgh Sportsline's a great show. So thank you very much." I told Don he made my day, and he certainly did. So
What did he give you free? A bottle of water or something?
well, I ended up actually getting a notebook, not this one. I knew one.
I thought
At Rite Aid,
maybe a
but,
little mouthwash or something.
This is an amazing evening. You normally get all these free notebooks. You mean you had to buy one?
Yeah, I bought one.
There, do you need a
because
pen? I'll give you this green pen.
thanks.
Keep it goes with that green shirt.
you.
Keep that pen.
He got a receit for tax time.
Oh,
I needed
the
one
only
of those.
question is what government name will he use?
Yeah, because I needed that one of those big notebooks that got 5 different subjects in it. So I was in the mood for one of those today. So anywho, what's on my mind is I just want to, since we're in the NBA Finals time, and everybody knows what I think of the Golden State Warriors, and I guess the world thinks of them because they're 73-9, a record that will never be broken. I think we can all agree on that. But I'd like to give you my top 5 NBA teams of all time, and I'll start at the bottom. 6C is the 2015.
Hold it, wait. Did you say 5 teams and then you start with 6C?
There's 8.
6C.
I understand.
It's the new math.
Just like for anybody new to our show, we're a little bit unusual.
And this is why Jim was never asked to keep score.
And when I have to talk about one of his first times on our show, he had a top 10, and there were 16 on it. And then he continued to say that each month, so he broke me down. I'm still waiting for the top 10. Now I got the top 5
The top 5 is awesome.
with
huh?
6C.
6C is the 2015 Golden State Warriors. 6B, the 2000 Los Angeles Lakers featuring Kobe and Shaq. 6A, the 1986 Los Angeles Lakers, Magic, Worthy, and Kareem. Number 5, the 1967 Philadelphia 76ers featuring Wilt Chamberlain. Number 4, the 1996 Chicago Bulls, Michael Jordan's team that went 72-10. I think they're worthy of number 4. Number 3, the 1965 Boston Celtics, talking about Bill Russell and Bob Cousy. Number 2, the 1972 Los Angeles Lakers, featuring Wilt Chamberlain. And the number 1 team of all time, featuring the Splash Brothers and Stephen Curry, the only unanimous MVP in NBA history, the 2016 Golden State Warriors. That's your number 1 team of all time. And that's what's on my mind.
Is this official by the expert?
Not yet. And they need to crown that with the championship, and then they can be deemed the best of all time.
We'll have a little segment on that because I've watched your last couple games. We'll talk a little bit about it. Their regular season mark may never be broken.
Never. Will never be broken. You're right.
So that could be. Thanks, Smoking Jim.
You're welcome, sir.
I appreciate what's on your mind. We got lighting being adjusted. I guess my tan looked darker than you, buddy. But it's actually real.
Oh, Chip's on you?
Yeah, I'm on you.
Chip ain't too
He got the reddish tint there. He can't hang exactly.
I was out today, you know. Yeah, spray tan.
No spray tan here. All right. Chip Hayner, what's on your mind?
Well, thank you, Alan, and good evening, everybody. And what's on my mind this evening? Well, with Jim, it was the finals, and the finals denote the NBA Finals. Well, with me, it's the Stanley Cup Finals. Yes, I'm all in now on the Pittsburgh Penguins. I am become a believer with the way that they came through in Game 7 against the Tampa Bay Lightning. And who was it? Somebody from nowhere, Brian Rust, who scored both goals in Game 7. And isn't it funny, the last time the Penguins won a Game 7, they won that game 2-1, and that was in the finals of the 2009 Stanley Cup against the Red Wings. So history repeats itself again. This time we did it at home. Last time we did it on the road. But what's really on my mind with the NHL, and I've been railing about this for several weeks, I'm going to continue, because once again last night, Penguins player got knocked out of the game with a hit to the head. And guess what? No punishment, no fines, no suspensions. So guess what? Hits to the head are going to continue because they're not punished. And, and until they do something to get this stuff out of the game. Now, how is it, here's the thing. The Penguins, team full of superstars. You've got Crosby, you've got Malkin, you've got Kessel, you've got Hornquist, you've got all these big name, big money players. But who are the people that are putting the puck in the net, winning hockey games for them? Guys like Brian Rust, guys like Nick Bonino and Hagelin,
Yeah,
So,
HBK.
We don't need to knock the Penguins stars out of the game because they're not really lighting it up like they are being paid to do. No, we're going to knock the people out of the games that are producing. So Brian Rust scores the first goal of the game last night, gets his clock cleaned, and subsequently he's out of the game. And the NHL isn't going to do anything about it, and until they do, the NHL is going to be nothing more than a garage league.
Whoa.
But that's what's on my mind.
You're going back to Mario Lemieux. Mm-hmm. Well, there has been a little difference in some of the play, but the referees do swallow the whistle in the finals, and a little bit before that. You could definitely see
There's
it.
no question.
Can't argue about that. I'm on the Penguin bandwagon because I started the bandwagon with Lord Stanley. Beginning of the year, I predicted they would win it. Not like Johnny-come-lately, Smoking Jim Frazier, and Chip the Prophet Hayner. They're all on the bandwagon. I always invite everybody. You're more than welcome. If you haven't liked the Penguins right now, you could jump on the bandwagon right now. There's still a couple seats left. I have a gentleman from Ohio, Brian, who said he's in Ohio and nobody even knows the Penguins. They know the Steelers. They love them and hate them. He knows players on the team. He doesn't even know hockey. I had explained what a penalty time is, and he understood some of it. He's learning the game. He's a friend on Facebook. But my point of this is they got a new coach. And isn't it great to see Sidney Crosby playing at the level that he could have played all year. And this is what I talk about in hockey. Not that they're prima donnas, but if they don't like a coach,
They are.
they're in that tank. They're in the tank. And maybe he had health issues. Maybe he finally healed up from all those whiplash and concussion issues he had, because he sure looks like a different player. I was wondering why he would go straight down the ice, play the same way. Now he's veering a little to the left, a little to the right. He's passing the puck. He made a behind-the-pass, backhanded pass that was unbelievable.
Without scoring a goal last night, he was probably the best player on the ice, both teams.
And for Chip to say that, it's a 180-degree turnaround.
And you know what?
And he's a believer.
Hey, a spade is a spade. I mean, when he was dogging it, I was dogging him. Now that he's performing the way that he should, you got to give him his props.
And then Malkin, little did I know that his wife was pregnant. He had a baby on his day off.
Girlfriend.
Oh, girlfriend. Okay. I didn't know whether they were married
Hey,
yet.
you know, I just want to, if you don't mind me interrupting
No,
for a
no,
quick
no.
second. You know, I always look at things, and from the trivia aspect, you know, I got my segment and everything. Here's the unique thing. The Penguins are on the verge of winning their 4th Stanley Cup. And do you know that every Stanley Cup championship Penguins team was coached by a first-year coach?
Yes.
Bob Johnson
Yes.
coached the first team that won in '91. He died. Scotty Bowman came in,
92.
won, and then Mario got him fired. And Bilesma came in and replaced Therian, and he won a championship. Now they've got Sullivan, so enjoy your ride while it lasts, Mike.
Well, I think he may have a little more potential with these guys, because one of the key things that happened is he coached in the AHL and had a great team down there. Now, a lot of people have been talking about Murray and, you know, should he have been in? Well, now, how could you take him out? And then there's always talk about Fleury, but we're going to put that on the back burner till after they win the Cup.
After the season.
And Murray is one of those low-key guys, doesn't get ruffled or rattled by anything. Look at what he's been hit at. They're hitting him in the net. They're coming in, he's making a save, and they're crashing into him. He just goes about his job, stretches out a little, makes another save. Then what's nice is, do you hear the stats on block shots? They are taking it to another level. Everybody's sacrificing. They're cutting down the shots where the goaltender doesn't have to make more than 20 saves, 17 saves. And we're getting 40, 50 shots that are legitimately on the goaltender, plus they're blocking about 10 or 12. But we're blocking anywhere 15 to 30 shots a game. That shows me they're playing defense a lot of the time. They still let these random one-on-none breaks, and they seem to not be able to get in front of a couple guys that are around the net. Now, if you're a defenseman, that I've watched hockey my whole life, you're supposed to at least get close to those guys, or at least pick their stick up like they did on Hagelin on the one play when I thought he would have had a goal lined up right there.
Did the same thing to Hornquist in the first period yesterday.
And it was a very good game to watch. You know, I'm all in. I don't know if they can win it in 4 or 5 or 6, but I guarantee by 7 games they'll have at least one more goal in the championship. The Cup will be here as predicted in the first week of the season.
Hey, you know, yesterday was the first time in 20 years that the first 2 goals scored in the
I got
Stanley
that. I'm
Cup
a stat man
finals,
too.
in the Stanley Cup Finals were scored by rookies.
1924 was the last time that happened. And the rookie scored both of those goals that year. So I read the stats. That's why there is no useless information, Chip. And we're going to get into our segments now. We start out with Fiction and Fact from Smokin' Jim's Almanac. You want to take one more bite of that Olive Oil's Pizzeria?
No, I want to save it for after this segment.
Okay. You got your strength up.
Because he knows I'm a little long-winded.
But I,
Whoa.
but I agree with Chip as far as Crosby. I thought he should have received a star last night, even though he did not score a goal. I thought he was the best player on the ice.
Did you even watch it? No, the disclaimer has to come out. Because if you notice, I asked a direct question. For all the fans of Smokin' Jim Frazier, I do ask him direct questions, and then I get that nice Ed McMahon laugh. So the disclaimer is, he knows football. He's a true expert. Baseball, very sketchy. Hockey, almost non-existent. And with that, Fiction and fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac is coming out.
Love my boxing.
We know you're a boxing expert too. I didn't think we had to go there. Did you watch any boxing recently?
Not recently.
Okay. He's an honest man now. Go ahead, Smoking.
Although I did watch George Foreman, Ronnie Lau on YouTube, thanks to Dan Bogan. Send it to me, Hall of Fame.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Hold it. Since we're talking boxing, who sent you the best ever?
Oh, Sugar Ray Robinson, you made my day. You made my
his
day. That was
Memorial
great.
Day.
That's it.
I sent you that video. When I come across it, it was just unbelievable.
That was great. That was great. But anyhow, let me get through this because I know.
Start it?
I know we got some. Yeah, I know we got some great segments coming up. But a lot of you folks never heard of probably a guy by the name of Dwight Collins. Let me get you up to snuff. Boogie, yeah.
I heard of him too.
In ninth grade, he was a star in football, basketball, and baseball. 10th grade, the same thing. His junior year, he was a parade All-American running back in the same backfield with Herschel Walker. And he decided to, after basketball season, he decided to run track. His brother Frank, who played briefly for the Pittsburgh Steelers, held the Beaver Falls 100-meter dash record. And Dwight Collins went out and broke the WPIL 100-meter dash record. But instead of going to States that year, his AAU traveling team, he decided to travel with the team, so he didn't go to States to win that. So his senior year, he was Big 30. He was All-American in football. He was round ball game MVP. And during track season, all he did was just re-break his record at every meet. And he only ran 2 events. They had two of the fastest guys in the state. Jerry Moy, who's Derek Moy's dad.
Wow.
Was the top fullback, probably the best fullback in Western Pennsylvania history since Cookie Gilchrist. But they used to have to put a black shoe on his left foot and a white shoe on his right foot, so in football he knew which way to go. So he didn't last that long at Ohio State, maybe about 30 minutes.
Did they switch his shoes up?
Yeah, he just couldn't. Woody Hayes just felt like he wasn't going to grasp it. But anywho, the late great Jerry Moy, by the way, outstanding player. But Dwight, back then, if you false started, you'll got one false start and you're out. So in the WPIL finals, Dwight Collins false started in a 100-meter dash.
Oh.
And Sherman McBride ended up winning that 100-meter dash. So Dwight entered the 200 meters for the first time in his life. In no form, no nothing, probably not that much wind because they didn't have a track at Beaver Falls. They ran through the hallways chasing girls. And
is that verified by 17 sources?
He won the 200 meters and qualified for states. So they go to states, and the number 100 and 200 meter guy was a kid from Harrisburg. So after he won the 100-meter dash, of course, Dwight wasn't eligible to run it because he had false started in WPIL. In a 400-meter relay, by the time Dwight got the baton, he was too far back. So the kid from Harrisburg and Dwight and Jerry Moy and the Beaver Falls guys, they were out pretty late getting drunk the night before.
Why are you bringing this stuff up?
Because, so when they got beat, they got serious.
Oh.
This guy from Harrisburg went around, told everybody he could outrun Dwight Collins. And Dwight Collins was still battling some bruises because he is in a brawl with Aliquippa legend, Petey Short, who used to also play for Pitt and coached at Aliquippa for years. And about 200 people had to break up that fight. I ain't going to tell you who won the fight, but it was a heck of a brawl. So Dwight went back to his room, put away all the booze, got serious, got a good night's sleep. Next day, he had a look in his eyes never seen of anybody.
Were you a witness?
I was there.
I was starting to think you're an eyewitness to this. Did you help him put the bottles away since you never touched
Well, I
any?
was too young. I was too young at that time, but you know,
13's not too young.
well, I was a little bit older than the kid in there with the silverback. But I seen the look in his eyes I'd never seen before, and the Harrisburg's going around saying they could whoop him. He gets in a 200-meter dash, and it looked like he was shot out of a cannon. He made up the stagger by the first turn. He came around the bend. He looked at the guy from Harrisburg and said, "Beep, beep." Took
Road
off
runner.
like he got shot again. The last 20 yards, he turned around and went backwards and started pointing at the guy and says, "Don't you ever tell nobody you can outrun me." Back then they had the string, when you break the tape, set a state record in the 200 meters, last 20 yards going backwards. And that's the fiction and fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac, the great Dwight Collins.
Thanks.
Shot out of the cab.
Thanks, Smoking Jim. I appreciate the fiction in those stories, and especially on your age and the other things there. Not that you ran and got him booze, but I'd bet on it. Thank you very much, Smoking Jim. Now I got to go to 20 sources to verify what you come up with. Unbelievable. Chip Hayner, I'm ready for Chip's trivia
It's
time.
trivia time. Well,
What do you have?
Well, I got a few tidbits from my baseball archives, and one of them starts with what could have possibly been one of the greatest moments in Pirate history. Could have even come close to overshadowing the great Bill Mazeroski's seventh
Walk-off.
ninth inning home run to win the 1960 World Series. And the event I'm talking about is Harvey Haddock's almost perfect game. And Harvey Haddocks was a pitcher for the Pittsburgh Pirates, and on the fateful day of May 26th, 1959, Harvey Haddocks of the Pirates pitched 12 perfect innings before losing to Milwaukee 1-0 in the 13th on an error, a sacrifice, and Joe Adcock's double at County Stadium. So, we talk about a perfect game being pitched for 9 innings.
Yeah.
Well, he pitched 12 innings of perfect baseball
That's 1 1/3 games.
and lost the game. But, that just goes down in the record books, and that's one of the reasons why you got to love baseball, because it's a fickle sport,
And it's full of stats.
One day you could be on top, and the next day, not so much. Being that we had the Memorial Day holiday this past, just yesterday,
Yeah.
and then we were paying tribute to the veterans and everything, and the people that continue to serve our country. Devin Shea, shout out to you, my friend. Christy Matheson, who's one of the greatest pitchers of all time, defeated the Boston Braves on May 29th, 3-0 for the Giants' 17th consecutive road win. And the reason why I bring up Christy Matheson is because Christy Matheson, one of the greatest players of all time in baseball, Baseball Hall of Fame, lost his life as a result of his service to his country. He fought in the First World War and got a lungful of the mustard gas, which ultimately ended up shortening his life. And, this is one of the things that happened in the First World War and the Second World War, that you saw a lot of professional athletes that went and served their countries. Ted Williams was another fine example. He served in World War II and in Korea. Could you imagine what his career statistics may have been?
He was
had
a
he
fighter
not served?
pilot, too.
Right.
Imagine that. Could have been shot
So
down.
we have nothing but a lot of respect for the people that serve, and the people, the professional athletes, to put their careers on hold to serve their nation. Also, May 29th was an interesting date, because this is something that still holds true today. May 29th, 1922, the United States Supreme Court ruled organized baseball was primarily a sport and not a business, and therefore not subject to antitrust laws and interstate commerce regulation. The suit had been brought by the Federal League's Baltimore franchise. So
Yeah.
there's no antitrust laws. 1928, May 29th, Bill Terry hit for the cycle to lead the New York Giants in a win over the Brooklyn Dodgers at Ebbets Field. Terry became the first player in Major League history to include a grand slam as part of his cycle.
Wow.
And hitting for the cycle, my dear friend Jim Frazier.
Just explain it again. He has short-term memory loss.
You get a single, a double, a triple, and a home run in the course of a game. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be in that order. Doesn't have to be in that order. And you know, Jim and I, you know, I love and respect Jim Frazier. You know, and he is always talks about the injustice of racial inequality. Okay, and you know, and I think that's something that should not be ignored. So in a reverse integration role, Edward Klepp became the first white player to play in the Negro Leagues. In a game played in Grand Rapids, Klepp pitched 7 innings for the Cleveland Buckeyes against the American Giants in his debut with the Negro American League team. This happened on May 29th, 1946.
If you got one drop of black blood in you, you're black.
This was before Jackie Robinson made his way onto the Dodgers playing field. So I just thought I'd share that one with you.
I appreciate that trivia. I never knew that.
Yeah, me neither.
Wow. Well, I gave you the book. It wasn't even in the book.
No, I dig deep.
That was really deep.
I dig deep for my stuff here. Okay, so now I know Alan knows who this person is, and Jim is soon going to know about him. But there was a gentleman that played for the Pittsburgh Pirates who has one claim to fame.
I know him.
His name was Dale Long, and Dale Long hit home runs in 8 consecutive baseball games.
He never heard of
a
him.
record that was
Missed it.
tied by the great Ken Griffey Jr. Okay?
Wow.
But on May 29th, 1956, Dale Long went hitless for the Pirates, ending his major league record streak of home runs in 8 consecutive games. So, streaks begin, streaks end. Same way with DiMaggio's 56-game hitting
Then he
streak.
started another one.
Okay, getting back to the pitching thing, Dodgers pitcher Clayton Kershaw posted his third shutout of the young season a week ago Monday night. What pitcher holds the major league record for most shutouts in a season in the modern era? And by the modern era, Jim, I mean since 1900. You know, see, the dead ball era was before 1900. Okay, and the person with the most shutouts in a single season, Grover Cleveland Alexander, with 16 shutouts in one season. And I bring this up because last night, one of the most maligned pitchers on the Pirates staff,
With good reason.
Jeff Locke, who is nothing more than the 5th starter. He will always be a 5th starter. He never will be anything more than a 5th starter. And he is a very adequate 5th starter on a Major League Baseball team. He pitched his first, in his career, in 101 starts, he pitched his first complete game shutout of his Major League career. And I just brought that up because, you know, when you got one pitcher that pitched 16 of them in one season, now to pitch a complete game shutout, you know, that means you got to pitch all 9 innings. Something that doesn't happen very often.
That's true.
Let me interrupt you with another piece of trivia. That was the first game that he's ever pitched in the 9th inning in the major leagues.
Really?
Yeah.
So
Wow.
that's the pitch count. The
But-
notorious pitch count we talk
Whole
about.
staff is mediocre.
But you know
Where
what?
did
The
that come
staff
from?
is turning itself around.
We'll
Because
talk baseball in a little
we
bit.
will talk baseball.
Smoking
There's
Jim's
no
an
question
interrupter
about
on. Unbelievable.
So you know, there,
Where does he come
you've got that, and then you know, we talk about the pitchers and their longevity and the number of pitches they throw, complete games, and now you know if a pitcher pitches the whole season, the most number of games that he'll pitch in is 32, and there's players that won 32 games in the season.
right.
You know, so you know, another one of the things that I think is something that's gone by the wayside is the embarrassment of striking out in Major League Baseball. And there used to be a time where it was an embarrassment to strike out. You know, it was better to hit the ball weakly to the mound and get thrown out by the pitcher than it was to swing and miss 3 times.
Bunning up there.
Well, back in the days when striking out was really, like I said, an embarrassing statistic to be a part of, Joe Sewell of the New York Yankees struck out for the first time this season on May 22nd, 1933. Season starts at the beginning of April. at the end of May, he struck out for his very first time. Sewell would strike out only 3 more times in 524 at-bats that season.
That's amazing.
That is amazing, and that's one of the things that if you just are committed to
Hitting the ball.
hitting the ball. I mean, hitting is not. Ted Williams used to say the single hardest thing to do in any professional sport is to hit a round ball with a round bat that's being thrown at you.
I've seen a lot of people do it.
Yeah,
Where at?
not consistently.
Where?
Not consistent.
Where
That's
do
why they
do
fail
this?
7 times out of 10, Jim.
We've tried to educate him. At least he knows that there's a 162
So
game
you know
season
what?
now.
That's all I'm going to wind up with. I did. There was some other stuff I was going to go over, especially a player who
Throw it out there.
died,
Come on.
for the Giants, and I'd have to look it up on my phone. Who there was a memorial to him in the Polo Grounds, and when they tore down the stadium, they destroyed the memorial.
Oh.
But when the Giants built AT&T Park in San Francisco, they do have a monument to him in center field.
Nice.
He died in the service of his country while he was a player for the Giants. And also, I found out an interesting story about the second most famous team that came from baseball team, that is, that came from Boston. And that would have been the Boston Braves. And the Boston Braves, with the list of Hall of Famers that they had on it, the Boston Braves moved from Boston to Milwaukee, from Milwaukee to Atlanta. And, a very interesting piece that I was reading there, and it's a little long-winded and I think a little too much for this segment.
Yeah.
But maybe I'll try to condense it some and share some of that information with you folks
I'd
on
like to hear
another
about that.
I would like to
on
hear that
another
also.
episode.
Anything
Yeah.
Boston, I like.
What?
I like to hear. That's the sports style.
When?
They
today?
love this sports in Boston. Just like Pittsburgh, Boston, and Philly.
Okay.
They're passionate. Let's just put it to you that way. And I'll tell you what, since you brought that up, you sometimes, Jim is always going to be critical of the Steelers, and that's, it's his right to.
Going to Super Bowl this year.
Yeah.
With a D minus.
And I'm an avid Steeler fan, and I'm an avid Penguin fan, and a Pirates fan, but we're going to be critical of our teams at times. But you think about other cities, and we've got 3 teams right now this year that are legitimate contenders for the title in each of their chosen fields. And, if that were to happen this year, and I'm really the first time that it ever happened, wow, isn't it an amazing time to be living in Pittsburgh and be a sports fan?
The Penguins and the Steelers are definitely the favorite to do it.
The
Thanks,
Pirates have the best team they've fielded in 20
I'm predicting they're going to the
years.
World Series. I'm in the minority on that, though.
And I'll tell you what,
On what?
we'll get to our Pirates
Yeah,
segment.
we'll get there too. We're giving teasers now.
And the odd man out of that starting rotation is not going to be Jeff Flock.
Whoa, another teaser.
Wow.
All right. Well, thank you, Chip, for the trivia time.
job.
Appreciate it. Learned a couple things again. Our on location segment, we had one of the best shows in front of one of the biggest crowds at the Meadows that you could even imagine. Smoking Jim and I, we were there from 5 o'clock till about 9, and thousands of people for the first family fun night of 2016. They only have 3 of them this year because they don't race on Friday nights regularly. They race Saturday afternoon, which is a nice day to go out there. We'll be out there again because we didn't get to run the match race because they had 14 races. They had to get the races done before they shot the fireworks off. So they didn't make time for Smoking Jim to hold his breath for once around the track.
I thought he had a hamstring.
No hammy, because you actually sit down. You sit down in the race bike, and the driver guides you around. So have no fear, Smoking Jim. We'll have a rematch with Justin Steve and Mad Dog Francis Healy coming up shortly. We're working on that. But it was a great night. We saw people, singers. Christina,
My
was
cousin.
singing. Your new cousin that adopted you in the family since he said, Christina, I don't have any family that lives up here. So she believes it now.
The poor homeless young man from
So now,
from Gateway.
with her big Italian family, she goes, what's one more? And then Smoking Jim goes, what about the talking machine? He just threw that in. She goes, he's welcome too.
He's always looking after everybody.
I know.
Always helping a brother out. Right?
After he's in, after he was guaranteed. He was there yesterday, Memorial Day, didn't even say anything to me.
That's what I call having your back.
And it was just a great night of racing. There were some records for 3-year-old fillies that were set. They were racing for $80,000. So they made some nice money.
Wow.
And it was just great to be with the Meadows Standardbred Owners Association, with Heather Wilder, their PR. We always have fun at their table with the young ladies and men that help them out. And people were entering so many contests, they were winning stuff, and they didn't have to bet on a horse. So it was just a good night. This week we'll be coming up to Hollywood Lanes. We have a great show predicted there for that night. Hollywood Lanes, about 7:30 to 8:30 with Jeffrey Park, and Lindsay Marie is our manager and host. They always have a great show for us and nice setup, and we'll be there from 7:30 to 8:30. So see you there on location at Hollywood Lanes. Now let's get in. Oh, wait, I got my promotions here. Almost forgot. Since I'm a trustee on the Bethel Park Community Foundation, we just approved about 5 or 6 grants from $300 to thousands of dollars. If you have a group here in Bethel Park, present it. We meet about once a month. You could make a presentation on what your group and organization is, and you get from $100 to $5,000. So check it out. You know, there's a lot of good things happening in Bethel Park, and just put an application in if you're doing something in the community. Maybe you'll get some money. Then at the end, I always do Stay Strong Joey. This is the Joey Fabus Cancer Foundation. They even have a couple events coming up. One is get rid of all your things that you throw away, bring them out at a rummage sale. I'll have more details when I get the flyer, but that all helps for the DIPG. It's a horrific brain cancer, no cure, nothing to even slow it down. And they have donated Joey's brain to the doctor, and $65,000 that they collected last year to try to find a cure. So they're working on it. They're finding more information out. So stay tuned. Check out the Joey Fabus Cancer Foundation. Donate $1. That's all. Everything helps, and it all goes to the research. So thank you for this public announcement. Now let's start. We're going to go right to Buccos, because Jeff Locke impressed me. I think he had 1 strikeout. I'm not sure.
Only one strikeout.
But he was throwing so many ground ball pitches that going into the 9th inning, he faced the legal minimum, and he almost made it where he would have faced 27 batters.
He faced 28. One over the minimum.
That was impressive.
The first 2 guys that got hits from him early in the game were raced on double plays. And Jeff Locke pitched a great game. And it's funny because Memorial Day he pitches probably the best game of his life. The second greatest game that Jeff Locke ever pitched was the last 4th of July against the Cleveland Indians. I was there at that game, and he owned the team that game. Jeff Locke is a very serviceable number 5 starter on your team. I don't see any reason to get rid of him. Now I know we're coming up to the time where the Super 2 players are going to be eligible to be brought up without losing a year of eligibility on them. Okay, and the Super 2 players that everybody's talking about with the Pirates are Jameson Taillon, Tyler Glasnow, 2 of the top 10 prospects in the major leagues. Wow. And, you look at it, Jim was making comments about the mediocre starting pitching staff. Well, the pitching staff has struggled, and it is struggling. Francisco Liriano has been up and down and all over the place this year. When he's on, he's on, and when he's not so much. Garrett Cole is pitching against Jose Fernandez tonight. 2 of the best young right-handed pitchers in baseball, fireballers. Garrett Cole in his last 3 games, he's 3-0, and his ERA is hovering right around 1.
Yes.
So Garrett Cole has been pitching very, very well. He's starting to get himself into shape. You've got John Neese, who has been adequate.
Yeah.
Of the 10 games that he's pitched, the Pirates have won 7 of them. I believe he's 5-2 or 5-3.
Yes.
So he's doing what you need out of a third starter. The odd man out is going to be Nicasio. Nicasio was a reclamation project, somebody that hadn't started in the major leagues in quite a few years, and Ray Searage and Clint Hurdle were trying to work him out as a starter. I think that will be your odd man out in the rotation when one of these younger guys come up. And I think Jeff Locke will be and continue to be an adequate number 5 starter for your team, because your number 5 starter is never going to win the Cy Young Award.
Right.
But if he keeps you in ball games and puts you in a position where you can win, that's all you're asking him to do.
And with the bullpen improving, here and there, there's some improvement there. Smoking Jim doesn't watch baseball, so he missed his man who should have been the starting pitcher of the year for the opener. He missed Coltrane, but he has improved. Like Chip has said, like I've said, you give them some time. Nobody's going to be perfect. There's a lot of things that happen, and they got to get healthier too.
Cole's earning that $750,000 this year.
He's only getting $550.
Yeah,
Jeez.
as well he should.
It is not. It is not, because next year the tables turn. See, the first 3 years that the players signed, okay, because he's got a 6-year commitment to the Pirates. The team has control over salary the first 3 years. The next 3 years he enters arbitration, and the team no longer gets to choose what he gets paid. So
how's he going to live on?
Hold it, Smoking Jim
how's he gonna
Frazier.
live? Because the $8 million they paid him as a signing bonus, okay, which they didn't have to do, he banked. So
Well,
he's not eating peanut butter jam and sandwiches.
Smoking Jim Frazier, don't they have certain rules in the NFL with contracts?
He isn't eating government cheese.
There's no way that an NFL team like the Pittsburgh Steelers would make their quarterback play for $500,000. They'd have redid their
But
contract.
here's the thing, Jim. What they did in the NFL is when they sign rookie contracts, there's a certain amount of money that they can sign them for. And if that's what the collective bargaining agreement says they can do, then that's what the Steelers do.
There's no reserve clause anymore in baseball.
There's no reserve clause, but there's a
I learned a new word.
there's a collectively bargained agreement that
CBA.
But to talk more about the Pirates instead of this nonsense, right now this Pirates team, is a better team top to bottom, position wise. They have a deeper bench than they've ever had. They've got solid bats. They can sit any player on that team and plug somebody else in and not lose anything. They've got the 4th most productive offense in Major League Baseball right now.
Sure.
And and here's the thing. McCutcheon's only batting .260. Now everybody knows that McCutcheon through the months of June, July, and August usually bats close to 350 or 400. So when McCutcheon starts catching fire, watch out. We are watching this year. We are watching the evolution of a future superstar in Gregory Polanco, who the Pirates locked up.
How about that home run last night?
Gregory Polanco is showing
Grand
me
slam.
Why he was so highly touted. The first half season he was up here, you're like, you could see some promise. But, was this going to be another, candidate that, had potential but didn't realize it?
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you what, this kid knuckled down, and he is, he's leading the team in walks. He's hitting the ball hard everywhere. And, I just think that there's nothing but good things to come from him. The guy's got a cannon for an arm. I was talking to
he's got speed
somebody
too. He's fast.
out of our outfield, which they say is the best outfield in baseball. The only arm that anybody's going to challenge is McCutcheon's. Polanco's arm, nobody's going to run on that. Nobody's going to run on Marte. He's already got a good Gold Glove in his back pocket.
Yeah,
Be
he
the
does.
center fielder.
Well, that's I leave that to the people that are running the team, because they apparently have built a winning team here, and they do. They've got a deep bench, and the pitching woes that they're having or have had earlier this year, these are problems that are going to get worked out. And the Cubs, watch out, we're coming for you.
Well, most people in baseball, the fastest guy with the best arm plays center field, and it's not like that with the Pirates right now, and you know it.
Well,
There's one difference. They brought up other players that have more speed
Jim,
and arms.
No, Jim, and I want to speak to your point, because you do make a very valid point.
Thank you.
Okay, but here's what you have to understand about the dynamics of PNC Park. This is a park where you play in half your games.
They don't want to hurt Kutch's feelings.
Okay, no, you gonna let me finish?
Go
You're gonna
ahead,
talk
go ahead.
nonsense.
Go ahead.
Okay, with the way PNC Park is laid out, it is like you have 2 center fields there. Left field is enormous, and it goes back into the notch. And center field. So you've got 2 players that can cover a lot of ground. So, whether you have one in right or one in left field, one in center field, it's like 6 of one, half a dozen of another. Either one of them, they're interchangeable. I don't see that it's a knock on on Marte to be playing left field, and I don't, I think
It's a knock the
McCutcheon-
other 81 games when you play away from PNC Park.
Yeah, when especially
When
when we're,
people
winning,
just
when
are
we're
running.
playing over 500. We win almost 70% of the games we play at PNC Park, but we're winning more than 50% of our games that we play on the
But
road.
out of your mouth, you said the only person they run on is McCutcheon.
The only person that anybody could run on.
And he still throws them out. So what does that mean?
That they don't want to hurt his feelings.
No, he's already won a Gold Glove as a center fielder. So you know what? He's got the resume.
Smoking Jim, you're a little behind on this.
Yeah. You win
You're
a
trying
Gold
to be
Glove.
sensational.
You win
You're
a
trying
Gold
to throw
Glove.
some
you
stuff
don't,
out.
you don't
I've been saying that for a couple of years now. That
When?
Marte should be
I
the
look
center
back in the
fielder.
tape. I look back in the film.
Chip will tell you.
You don't take somebody that wins a Gold Glove at a position and move him somewhere else. You just don't.
Unless they're Pete Rose. Because you didn't know that.
Yeah, and they gave Pete Rose just enough rope for him to hang himself.
No, but I mean about
And he
playing a different position and being Gold Glove. He did have talent.
So
Yes.
we got the Pirates with 4 against the Marlins here, and then we come home for a series this weekend. An 8-game stand. The last home stand we were 8-2. 8
Yes.
and 2. That's how you win a lot of baseball.
That's
games.
80% Smoking Jim.
And they close about 4 games off from the Cubs right now, right?
Doesn't matter.
I think as of
Doesn't
this morning
matter.
it was 6.5.
That ain't
But
bad.
but there was a point
They were
where the
doing
Cubs had lost 8 of 12 games.
Wow.
So and I've said this before. The Cubs are going to come back to the pack. You watch. We'll be there at the end.
We shall see, folks.
Mark the tape.
I've said
I'm
it from
watching
the
the tape
beginning.
on
and
you,
I'm going to
buddy.
say it all year.
I
So
checked it.
you're not predicting wild card for the Pirates
I'm still predicting a division.
division? Okay.
I'm still picking wild card 4 years in a row. I like it. I like them winning. I like winning records, and they're getting better. You're building a foundation. That's what a team
Yeah.
is. This is a foundation for successful years
Well,
ahead. And I think it's a little soon. It's my opinion. It's a little bit soon that they could win the World Series. Maybe they can win the division. Last year, with a couple different games, we win the division.
Well,
this year, it could fall our way.
And what they're doing is they're locking up a lot of good young talent, and they're getting control of these players for 3, 4, 5 years, and that's what's going to be the key in a market such as ours. Because here's the reality of what Major League Baseball is. You had the Cardinals, who signed a $2.5 billion local television contract, which they have to share with nobody. The Chicago Cubs signed over a $2 billion local television contract. The Pirates are not going to get that kind of money. We don't get that kind of viewership. So, how do you compete with somebody who's getting billions when we're getting millions?
Good point.
So, but they're finding a way to be competitive in running with the big dogs, and I really enjoy watching it. It makes
It's a nice brand of baseball. It's exciting.
Took them 20 years to figure it out, but they
Well,
figured
there's
you know
always
what,
negative
they figured
Ned.
it out.
There's
Hey,
always they weren't here for the
Jim,
full 20 years
Rome wasn't
like
built
you
in a
were.
day, my friend. Rome wasn't built in a day.
And the other disclaimer on Smoking Jim, never watched a baseball game in that 20-year period. Didn't even know what they were doing. Didn't even know who owned the team then.
I knew some white folks owned it.
Thanks, Smoking Jim. Well, let's go to some Steeler talk here. Anything on the Steelers?
No.
Okay.
Actually,
Thank you.
you know what? There is some divisional talk, and I thought this was kind of interesting. That the Baltimore Ravens lost an entire week of OTAs because
quit that.
John Harbaugh broke the rules and decided to put the players in pads at rookie orientation and had them hitting one another, and that's against the collective bargaining agreement. So instead of 3 weeks of OTAs for the Baltimore Ravens, they got 2.
Guess who turned them in?
Who?
Their player representative, Ben Watson, the tight end, so he won't be on the team next year.
Maybe the Steelers will get him after all.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, he's
But
kinda over
there's some
here on
interesting
them.
things that were said, by even Le'Veon Bell when they came in for OTAs. Hey, come on, they were talking about how the Bengals players were deliberately trying to hurt him. What are your thoughts about that, my friend?
Well, my dad came up in air with the Oakland Raiders, were the criminal element.
I remember.
with Jack Tatum and the Atkinson. You never want to talk about stuff like that because defense is going to try to hurt you, no matter what kind of rules that you say, and just to bringing stuff like that up is ridiculous to me. Especially Le'Veon Bell's the type guy that runs people over as well. So some defensive backs would say, "Hey, yeah, he's trying to hurt me when he runs me over." So.
Good point, Smoking Jim, but I don't think that was the point of his argument there. When the same guy is going above and beyond and twisting.
Well, even Antonio Brown, said the same thing about Vontaze Burfict. That he was trying, if Burfict was wearing black and gold jersey,
he'd be called Silverback.
Yeah, we'd be building him a statue.
That's right. That's true.
I don't know.
Because he's a bungle, we're gonna dog him, and they're gonna continue to lose. But that's just what they do. Marvin Lewis hasn't won a playoff game yet. I don't see one on the horizon for him either.
Good point.
And he still has a job. All right, let's go to some Penguins. We touched on it with Chip and I at the beginning. It's just an unbelievable season. What a last 3 months that it's been with these games.
And I'll tell you the thing that I find most refreshing about the team is that Mike Sullivan has brought in a lot of these young players, and
who played for him.
This is what the Penguins needed to do because of the salary cap restraints they have, because they have so much money tied up in so few people. And the people that they have money tied up in, they've all got no trade clauses in their contract, so we're with them. So what you needed to have is you needed to get some young guys up here that they're paying a league minimum to, and they're the ones that are really making the biggest difference in the way the Penguins have played. The third and fourth lines are the ones that have made the hugest difference. The HBK line, in and of itself, won the Capitals series. Sidney Crosby did get the game winner in 3 of the Tampa Bay games. And like I said last night, he was easily the best player on the ice. There was no question about that. Sid was he was dealing, he was hustling, playing like he had a purpose instead of just going through the motions. But
well, look at Cullen. They got Cullen. I didn't think he'd be that good at 39 years old. He's
kind of
fast.
reminds me of who was that Billy Guerin that they got in the last Cup run. And he got
Makes sense.
We picked up Brian Trottier when we won the first 2 Cups.
There's
Brian Trottier was at the end of his career, but sometimes you need that veteran that's going out there, and you got a guy that's 38, 39 years old, and he's laying it all on the line, and you're 21 and you're not, and all of a sudden it's contagious. You play the same way that you see the others.
And these were Sullivan's players that he had. So the experience, they know how he is as a coach. They know his schemes. He mixes up the players. He's playing chess with them, moving them in and out, and it helps.
And I'm glad that we've gotten past the point where we have any kind of a goaltender controversy. I honestly feel, and this is no knock to Marc-Andre Fleury, he got knocked out by injury. This happens in sports, but Murray has just been unbelievable. I think this is his playoff run to either win or lose. I think the Penguins should either win or lose with him. They tried making a change. It didn't work out so well. The only way that it did work out was that Murray got a day of rest.
I think that was the ulterior motive.
Because he's 21 and they were playing games every other day, and that's why I think the Stanley Cup is the hardest championship to win in all of the professional sports.
Luckily, Smoking Jim doesn't know hockey.
Seriously, what would you say is
basketball?
I mean, why would you say that when Gretzky won it, 5 or 6 years in a row? I mean, why is it so hard? Why is it so hard? Why is it harder than any other sport?
Because of the physicality of hockey.
Okay.
Because hockey is like football on skates.
Okay.
All right.
I'll give you that.
You're playing a game every other day for 2 months.
I'll give you that. Okay. I didn't know where you were going with
Here's another aspect that Smoking Jim's not even aware of. How long of a segment do they play in football? 10 seconds, 12 seconds, 8 seconds. Yeah. Hockey, I'm watching the game last night, 10, 15 minutes, no break in the action.
And they do have line changes.
Of course, but how would a football player handle that?
He don't
Well-
have to because it's #1 sport in the world.
Yeah,
Everybody
but
loves
that's
it.
part of a non-answer because Smoking Jim cannot answer questions. If you're constantly active for 15 straight minutes, I want to meet that football player
Good
that can
point,
do that.
good point.
They're not there yet.
No, but hockey, I think hockey is probably the second most violent sport, and I do think that football is the most.
Yeah, good point.
I mean, they say football's a contact sport. It's not a contact sport. It's a collision sport. It's like you have 75 car accidents, back to back to back
When
to
you
back.
give a concussion, you get a concussion.
Right.
But
that's
hockey
part of
players,
the
hockey
problem.
players, they're tough. The speed that they skate at, and then they hit each other. You see Rust, and he got hit. Last night.
Well, let me ask you guys this: what does San Jose have to do to win this series?
Score more goals.
To answer your point, Jim, anybody that watched the game last night, you saw the first period and the third period. The Penguins played the way they needed to play to win the game. If you watch the second period, that's the way San Jose has to play to win the game. And San Jose outplayed the Penguins in the second period yesterday. That's where they tied the game up. And San Jose really doesn't need to reinvent the wheel, just the same way as the Penguins. The Penguins need to play their game, and their game is a speed game, okay? And San Jose just simply needs to stick to what brought them to where they're at, because obviously they were good enough to make it to the finals, and they're going to win some of these games. The Penguins are not going to win this
Why does the
series
Penguins have home ice advantage?
because they had a better regular season record.
The Penguins did?
Yes, than San Jose.
Luckily, you didn't follow the sport,
Wow,
as
'cause I
we
know-
talked
I
about
know
it
they were
every
down
week.
for a long
No, as
time,
long
the
as we
Penguins.
talked about it every week, you missed how Malcolm was carrying him on the back, on his back.
But I didn't know if it was like baseball or that you get it
See,
because of the All-Star
baseball
game.
has a screwed up way of doing it. I think the team with the best record should have home field advantage. Football, of course, plays on a neutral site, and basketball
doesn't
does
matter.
seems to say that they do the same thing. It's whichever team had the better record. Obviously, San Antonio's got home court advantage against Cleveland. But you got to watch out. While we're talking about it, you got to watch out for the Cleveland Cavaliers. I mean, with the single drawback that they have, that they've got the choke artist as their key player. But they've only lost 2 games in this entire first 3 series.
Yeah,
They swept the first 2, and Golden State has lost half as many games, or almost more than half the number of games they lost the entire season.
Good point.
In 3 series. So
Well, you know what happens. They had a chip on their shoulder, as Smoking Jim alluded to, during the season. So they took care of the chip, no pun intended. And now they have to play serious basketball. And they've come through with even more threes than they shot during the regular season to win these games. So, I mean, that's exceptional on that.
And the West is so superior to the East.
there's
right
no
now.
question about that. There's no question about that. The Western Conference, had all the teams. I thought what was going to end up was Golden State and San Antonio were going to end up beating each other silly, but
Didn't happen.
yeah, no, it didn't happen. Oklahoma City, and Kevin Durant will be a free agent at the end of the finals this year, and that's somebody that I thought would have a ring by now.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, if Harden wouldn't have left that team when he did to go be the number 1 man in Houston, OKC would have won several championships because, especially with Westbrook and Durant and
Did
Harden.
you see Westbrook playing? He was like crazy. He was going after balls, diving in there head
He's
first.
fast.
Just a great player. He wanted it. You could tell the difference. Well, we're just about done with this. This hour flew by. Smoking Jim, what other point do you have to bring up?
Nothing.
You heard it first, folks. Chip, anything else?
2 games, PNC Park this weekend, Friday, Saturday. I can't wait.
Penguins play tomorrow night. They will win that, and they're going on for the cup. I think it'll be 6 or 7 games because you're going to see San Jose. The Sharks will be coming back. That's why they're Sharks. They have a lot of older players. So watch the youth. They win it all. And the ending of that, stay Joey strong.